Cass, you're a strong woman, capable of making decisions that sway public opinion. You make a lot of people angry.
I love that last. You make a lot of people angry.
Welcome to Screams and Streams, the podcast that looks at the best and worst horror movies as rated on Rotten Tomatoes from 1970 onwards. I'm your host, Mike Karen, and with me are my co-hosts,
Chad Campbell
and Sam Schreiner.
Be sure to check us out on Instagram. Our handle is @ScreamStreamPod. Also, check out our website at screamsandstreams.com for more information about all the films we are looking at. Just a warning, if you don't like spoilers, we recommend that you stop listening now, check out the film, and then rejoin us for our discussion. Today, we are looking at Jean-Claude Lord's 1982 film, Visiting Hours. It scored 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's get into it. Chad, can you give us our plot summary, please?
For sure. Okay, this is taken from the IMDb website, and it is: a deranged, misogynistic killer assaults a journalist. When he discovers that she survives the attack, he follows her to the hospital to finish her off. There's a more in-depth one, if you'd like that one.
No,
but it's quite long.
Misogynistic guy was, yeah, very apt.
Yes.
All right. We're now going to get into our sinister sip. And because this film is based in a hospital, I went with the Code Blue. Blue curacao, white wine, lemon juice, and vodka.
Oh.
And then you have your syringe of cranberry juice to inject some blood into the mixture.
Okay.
There.
All right. Looks great.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I actually like it.
Yeah.
I think I actually like it.
I've never had a cocktail with white wine in it. So that was
I love white wine. And so, yeah, I really like this.
nice. We're now going to go into our first impressions. And Sam, you're going to start us out.
I had never seen this film before, but I do remember the cover art. I remember thinking it was really cool. I was pretty shocked that it was 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
But I did have a couple of people comment saying that we should do it. And I know it was recommended, obviously, through our listeners that we should give it a shot. And through reading, people were surprised it was 14% and said it was like kind of a hidden gem. I don't really know if it was a gem. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it either, though. I do think 14% was low for me, and that might be an unpopular opinion. But yeah, I didn't mind it.
For me, this is also my first watching. This one came in, whoever recommended this from our listeners, thank you, but it was in a batch of other films, and they were all on the low end of the scale. And they put a little comment like, as you can see, I like bad movies. And so I came into this like, yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes, 14%. I thought it was going to be absolutely terrible. I saw Shatner in the cast. It was like, oh my God, because all I could think of was The Devil's Rain. How bad that was. But yeah, I'm not as low as 14%. I had troubles with it. And there were times where it's just like, oh my God, let's just end. I couldn't believe how much time was left in the film when we got to a certain point. But Jean-Claude Lord does some good stuff with tension and suspense through this movie that I quite enjoyed and found really upsetting and disquieting. So for a first impression, much better than I thought it would be. And yeah, glad I watched it. Chad?
Yeah, I agree. I think 14% isn't fair. There were moments that I was like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty good. And then there were moments where I thought were just a little long. I think the pacing was a little off. There were parts that bothered me. For instance, he's the worst serial killer I've ever seen. Yeah. I mean, he's in that hospital forever. Then he leaves and goes back. So I
several times.
Like, come on, man. So there were parts that, missed the mark for me. But overall, I didn't think 14% was fair.
Absolutely. Thank you. We are now going to go into our Tropes Hall of Shame, and I'm going to be the one that kicks us out the gate on this one. My first one, writing it down even, I was like, ooh, do I even point this out? But it's when she's interviewing the lawyer on her TV show, and they're talking about whether or not the woman faked her injuries to justify killing her husband.
Oh, yeah.
So there's always that questioning of the victim and, were the injuries real and all that kind of stuff. As the movie went on and I saw that, like, the crux of that and what it led to, I was like, maybe that wasn't a trope. I should have just been paying better attention. My next one was, as our killer Colt is watching this broadcast, he gets so angry by it that he rips the cable out of the wall.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get that. Like, I'm so mad. I never want to watch TV again. Yoink. So those were my first two. Sam, what were a couple of yours?
The jump scare before the jump scare. So as Deborah is going through her house, the bird scares her.
Right.
And so we see that all the time. And then the next time it's actually the serial killer. And then, of course, the warning. So there was the don't let that get into the wrong hands. And so we see that all the time.
Right.
So we know something bad's going to come from that.
Great. Chad, what were a couple of yours?
Well, I had kind of the same one that Sam did, not with the parrot, but when Shatner's character enters the hospital to visit Deborah and he's carrying the flowers and they've just shown the killer put the flower emblem on his van.
Right.
And so he takes off. I assume you're supposed to think that this is the killer, but then it pans out and it's just Shatner giving Deborah a flower. So the killer is a friend. It's not the killer. So we've seen that a lot of times. And also waking up from a nightmare. So there's a scene where Deborah just wakes up. And we have said this before in another movie we did where I don't know when I wake up from a nightmare or when I remember doing that, I don't remember sitting up and making it quite so dramatic. So that was another one for me.
Great. My next one was the aged starlet who's now lonely and desperate and socially clueless. So this is
wow. Okay, let's unpack that.
That's all hyphenated. So this is when Colt comes home and he walks past the landlady's apartment or the woman. Oh, hey Colt. Oh no, I was just watching this, and I remember when I was in the pictures and I was acting with this person. Oh, where are you going? And he's walking away and she's still like
talking to
throwing hooks out. Like, come on, be with me. So that's why it was so descriptive. And then my next one was the victim sensing the killer's presence. So this is the night where he goes to the hospital and he thinks that she's in 931, but she's been moved, but she senses that he's there. And even later, like, I feel him here. And in the operating room, he's here. Sam, what was some more of yours?
Running up the stairs instead of outside. So we see this when they're getting chased. So don't run upstairs, go outside. That was one of mine. And then, of course, useless cops. A lot of them in a lot of movies.
The whole precinct is at that hospital.
When they all embark and they're all running in.
Clear the elevators. It's like, how many of you are going in there? Like, there are stairs. Wouldn't you want to check out the stairs? It's like a comedy movie where they all run in there and then they push the button and then the doors slowly close and then you get the blah, 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 as they're going slowly up the 15 floors.
Chad, did you have any others?
Although I did actually like the way they did this, it's still, we still see it over and over and over again. It's the killer's not dead.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So she stabs him and he's got one last push. But I did like how she didn't have to go nuts on him. Like, he just made one last attempt and then he was done.
Right.
It wasn't like, I got to re-stab him or I got to kick him or kill him again. It was just one and done kind of.
Yeah.
And then I had the not believing the victim. So William Shatner's character is Gary Baylor. I really, at one point in the film, wrote in my notes, why is he here? Mm-hmm. Because all he does is tell her no.
Yeah.
He comes in there and she's like, I want to go home. You can't. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
He just shuts her down every time. He's in the hospital. No, he's not. You're being silly. Like, every time. He's just the guy that's supposed to be frustrating, I guess. Yeah. But really doesn't progress the story in any way. And I don't really think he's needed.
No.
I mean, that could have been any character. It could have been the nurses that come in and just say, no, we can't release you because blah, 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 blah. Like, they didn't need him.
Yeah. And that actually ties to two of my other tropes that I identified. And one is the TV executive angry at the reporter or anchor for doing their job.
Oh, yeah.
Right? She's meant to interview and find the hard truth. And so she goes after the lawyer and is chasing the story. You can't do that. We couldn't air this.
Yeah.
Which I have a comment on that later. But so it's like, there's that again, Gary Baylor doesn't agree with her, doesn't like her.
Yeah.
And then on the whole, like, no one believes the victims. It's the trope of like, the woman's in the panic, but then the cops are just like, oh, you're a crazy lady, get out of here.
Yeah.
But I did find it like she comes out of that hospital. Nobody outside the doors has any idea what's going on, who she even is, maybe.
Yeah.
She's like, I need to go to my house. And the one guy's like, talk to that officer. Officer, I need to go. Drive me. Can you take me around? He's like, oh, slow down, lady. Tell me what's going on. She's like, you don't understand it. And like, she just loses her shit. shit. And it's like, if you just said like, I got a phone call from the killer, I'm the woman that everyone's here for, or I'm the nurse of the woman that everyone's here for.
Yeah.
He might have driven her, but instead she just like, whoa, and runs away and drives herself.
Yeah.
Okay, we're now going to move into our one-liners. Chad, what were some of the lines that you liked in the film?
Okay, I had one by the nurse. She says, whoever did this ought to be caged and fed raw meat. I thought that was kind of funny. Another one I had that was, it was actually in the background of the diner. They're sitting there talking, and just out of nowhere, I hear, shut up, you dumb broad. And I was like, what? It was, all the other noises were just this muddling. You couldn't really make it out. And then that comes in clear as a bell. And
I missed that.
Okay, I don't know.
One of my lines that I really liked is when she wakes up in the hospital after the attack and the nurse Sheila comes in and says, you've got a lot of friends, or else you know a lot of florists.
Yeah.
So I quite like the humor of that line. And I wrote this line down thinking that it would be a bit more telling, but it wasn't. So I kind of liked it as the red herring, because in a horror movie, you just feel like this is like, oh, now we know something's going to happen. But
Right.
Sheila's on the phone, and I'm guessing she's talking to the babysitter about getting her to stay longer with the kids. And she'll be home after the double, and she's like, oh, this double shift is going to kill me.
Yeah.
So I wrote that down like, oh, here we go. And no, not at all.
Yeah.
So, Sam, what were some of your lines?
Similar to the one that you were just talking about, Mike, your first one. During that conversation, she says, like, you have a lot of visitors. And then she's like, kind of like done. And she's like, okay, send in the clowns.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I really liked that one. I thought that was kind of clever. So my second one is later in the film when Gary goes to the cops and he goes, look, he's made a death mask. And it's and it's like, we all saw it. We're like, yeah, I thought that
Had
was
we seen it as a full skull yet? Like, we'd seen it as sort of the collage.
the weird collage. Yeah.
I don't think they had zoomed out at
Right.
that point.
Yeah.
But she took those two pictures and she
mouth.
took the mouth. So he wasn't creating a death mask.
I was like, what's a death mask?
Yeah, he did say it as if like, a gime. Chad, what were some more of your lines?
I did have that same part where she's running out and was just, the killer called me and I need to get to my house. I need to get my house. And the one cop says, go talk to that cop.
Yeah.
And so the cop comes up there and she's like, I need you to come with me. I need to get to my house. He's like, lady, I'm on duty. I can't. And I just said, so the cop is asked to go with the nurse who's in distress, but he can't because he's on duty?
Yeah.
Like,
Do your job. I can't do my job.
I can't do my job. My job is to sit here and look like I've got something to do. And my other one was when they're talking about the hospital and they're trying to get her up to x-rays and they've shut all these floors down because the killer is around, and so, which didn't make any sense to me. Like, they can't move freely about the hospital because there's this one guy and 700 cops. But they're like, we can't get her there. I don't know. Well, she needs x-ray. Anyways, the one that I had was they're like, well, we need to get her into the x-ray room. And this one guy chimes in and says, that place is locked up tighter than the Vatican. All right.
My next one was, it was a line that wasn't great, but it led me to a lot of questions. So I wrote it down and didn't keep it for the shadows. It's when Lisa and the nurse are talking about like, now you're going to tell me that I need to be this way. You're probably just straight edge. And she's like, and you probably went to your prom. And she said, I missed my prom. I was pregnant and working nights with my husband. And I was really confused because earlier in the film, she talked about her ex-husband, right? And she's got 2 kids with her ex-husband.
Yeah.
But in high school, she was married. And like, I'm not judging the teen pregnancy, but it was it was the husband comment.
I think it was they were going to be married.
Oh,
I don't think she meant at that time, but that eventually became her husband and then is her ex-husband.
Oh, okay.
Child bride.
Okay.
Not a child bride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm questioning that part of the line. Okay. And then my next line, I can't remember who says this, but it's the line, you've triggered a psychopath.
Oh,
When they're talking about Colt and like,
yeah.
yeah.
It does say that. I can't remember.
I think maybe it's Gary, because the next thing I have is the timestamp for why is he after me.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
It must be that. Yeah.
But yeah, I just liked that. Like, you triggered a psychopath and just, there's no other justification for why he's doing this. It's just, this guy is crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, following my judgment of her comment about prom, we're going to go to what doesn't hold up. And Sam, you're going to start that category.
Smoking in a hospital room.
Yes.
It doesn't hold up at all. Also at the hospital, just the general lack of security. They had someone break into the surgery prep room. He went in to go get scrubs to be able to scrub in on a surgery. And then all that happened was another doctor, I think, or the surgeon said, "You're not in general surgery, get out." And there's nothing else that happened. He's like, okay. Nothing else came from that. Yeah. No security at all. And even then it was just a guy on a chair.
Stool.
He's just standing outside.
And he's totally around the corner. He doesn't turn to see who's coming either which way down the hallway. Nope. He's just around the corner.
I'm going to sit with my back to the hallway and look at this wall.
Nothing could ever happen as long as I sit this way.
Chad, what didn't hold up for you?
First of all, Michael Ironside's or Colt Hawker's leather tank top was a little much for me.
What do you mean? I liked it. No, I'm just kidding.
I started to write it down.
The chafing. That would be the most uncomfortable thing to wear in the hot. I was like, that is not practical for a killer.
My core is really sweaty, but my arms are nice and cool.
Yes. And also Deborah's acting in the help me's and the screaming really needs work.
Right.
Help me. Help me. I was like, oh my God, what is happening?
And she's yelling out the window?
Yes, it was the worst. There was no
no panic
rise or panic or anything. She's, it was just horrible. It was horrible.
I was thinking about that too. It's instill some need, not just help
me. And just loud. It was monotone and loud.
Yeah.
It's like,
I love the couple on the street. It's what is that about? I don't know. She's drunk.
Yeah. That's a quote. Yeah, for sure. She's drunk.
My first doesn't hold up was Shatner's tie at the beginning. I don't know if you caught this when she's just finished her interview with the lawyer and they're walking on the hallway, but the skinny end of his tie is 3 inches longer than the fat end of his tie.
Oh no.
And I was just if it was a costuming choice, very weird, but also how did nobody catch this?
Right.
Yeah.
Chad, what else didn't hold up for you?
I had the opening credits were black and white and just too long.
Yes.
They just went on forever. And that's back in the day when they made you watch the credits. And I fast forwarded, but it's just how long is this going on for? They could have had them, I don't know, setting up for the interview or doing something so that we weren't just watching black and white credits.
Right.
Yeah.
Scene, so I didn't like that. And this might go here where it seemed like the nurse, Sheila, whenever she was in stress, would call Deborah and not the police, not the security, not anybody else, but she would call Deborah and it didn't make any sense.
Or when Lisa shows up with proof and knows the address, it's
yes,
take those photos to Deborah.
Yeah,
no, go to the police right fucking there.
There's a cop right there that's making her register, by the way. Yeah. All you need to say is hey, and she waits forever and gets so annoyed. Yeah. She's like, oh, for fuck's sakes, fuck this. She takes off. And then the guy's, hey, you, come on, let's get you up here. Oh, it's about time. And it's just show him the stuff and say, hey, the killer that you're all looking for, I know his address. Look at this.
I loved all those little delays, though, because she's in an urgent, it's like when you have a quick question and you have to listen to a 5-minute inane conversation between two people. Then they finally get upstairs.
That's the best.
You need to get her to 903. Hold on. I have to go check this other page. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. It's so frustrating. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I did. I thought it was funny, but I was also why is now she's just frustrated and she's leaving.
Yeah.
And then as soon as she's leaving, that's when the cop is okay, we're ready for you now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But she's always calling Deborah. Yeah. Call the police. Call the security. Get it solved.
Not the person who's bedridden.
Yes. And a journalist, not a cop.
Yes.
Sam, did you have another one?
I also said pouring beer on your kids. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Those scenes were weird.
Yes.
Those were very weird.
Yeah, I talk about them a little bit later as well, but that was... Yeah,
you want a drink? And that was just very unsettling for me to see. It was not good.
And it's you understand what they're doing with those flashbacks eventually.
Yes.
But when it first cuts to that, it's it's the what the fuck.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what's going on here?
Okay, we are now going to move into our most gratuitous scene. And for me, Sam, you've already talked about this, but like the jump scare that isn't a jump scare, I put it into the gratuitous, not that doesn't hold up, just because it was like the number of times they mislead us or sort of misrepresent. Like,
Yeah, they do it a lot.
yeah, the footsteps of the man that finds her when she's been attacked in her house, right? There's the bird. There's the nurse behind the curtain coming in and then, oh, no, it's just the nurse.
Yeah.
There's Shatner bringing the flowers, right? There's
Yeah.
it just goes on and on
Yeah.
and on. Yeah. So that is my first most gratuitous. My next one was the number of jobs / disguises that the killer has.
I know. He's just everywhere.
He's got every uniform and every possible job.
Yeah.
The hospital staff see him in multiple. In fact,
Yeah.
I believe the same nurse sees him a few times and is like, go get this for me.
Yeah.
And Michael Ironside does not have a lot of lines in this picture.
No. Well, I also didn't understand when he's standing outside in the paramedic's uniform.
I love that paramedic. Is that the zip up with the butterfly collar?
leisure suits.
Oh
Yes.
my
Yeah.
God, that was the best thing.
Yeah. It took me a second to be like, what are you?
I
Like,
thought they were pilots. I thought they were going to the helicopter or something.
and they were so tight.
Yes.
So tight.
Well, at first I thought it wasn't him because like he walked in with them, like they knew who he was and he was a
Yeah.
friend. Then I like went back, I'm like, no, that's Michael Ironside. It's like, maybe he's a paramedic in real life. Like I was so confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he was a laundry guy. Then he was an OR. He was a.
He's a janitor. He was
Yeah.
orderly.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Oh, and he was driving that Zamboni type thing.
Okay, that was.
Oh, at the news.
Yeah,
the
at the
studio.
news at the studio.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was his real job, because that's the thing. That's the confusing part of this. What
Yeah.
does this guy do for a living? But he's driving
Murder.
this Zamboni thing, and it's got one lone circular brush on the front of it.
Yeah.
It's the most useless thing.
Because it's not squeegeeing behind him. No.
There's no wet coming. It's just like it's just going through. It's crazy.
I forgot about that scene, but it made no sense because like it's empty. There's no one there. He's like, I'm so angry. I'm going to go clean the floors. God damn it.
Yeah.
Chad, what are some of your gratuitous scenes?
My first gratuitous was the cooking oil scene.
Oh,
Where the mom is pushing the dad down and saying, stop it, stop it. And then you know it's coming because they allude to it a few times. You see the father's burns, so you know it's coming. But when she grabs that and you see it bubbling and she flicks it, I could use it as gratuitous for what the fuck, but I was just like, whoa, like
Yeah.
that. I could feel that pain. Like it was nuts. So that was my first one. And my second one was, and for a totally different reason, the cooking oil scene I loved. Deborah's crying, I hated. And that just went on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I was just, this is a strong, powerful woman. You can shed some tears, yes, but eventually you got to shut the fuck up and get her done.
yeah.
that shit done.
Sam, what did you find gratuitous in the film?
The death of the old lady after he cut the oxygen, I found
Right.
that really upsetting, and it went on for quite a while as well.
long
And,
time.
and he's taking the picture, and you can just kind of see her go like it. Yeah, I thought that was pretty upsetting.
Just watches her suffocate, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was.
And then on top of that as well was the gallstone man.
Oh, he was
But
awesome.
He was awesome, but his death was like pretty horrific as well. They shoved the ball in his mouth and then taped over
Oh,
it.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, I thought, a little over the top.
His stress ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why is he giving that? Anyways, why is he giving that up?
It's not stressed anymore.
Yeah.
And my last gratuitous was just the beer bottle to the arm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At first I had that as a what the fuck.
Yeah, originally I did too.
Yeah, but then when you find out like, oh, well, he needed to get to the hospital, so how better to get in than as a patient? But when he pulled his arm up off the cutting board,
Oh, yeah.
that was great makeup.
It
was-
looked really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget what that not disorder is called, but some people, they have that fear of holes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like it's like the thing that you do not Google because they show like people's thumbs with like a bunch of holes in it and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just saying like that scene would have triggered someone with that.
Or they
Yes.
show like where bot flies come out of and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that, we're going to go to our terrifying or titillating. Chad, what did you find for this category?
Well, I always find this because it's terrifying or titillating, but I didn't really find anything titillating about but I found the rape scene in the apartment very disturbing and terrifying. Like he makes beer spill all over her pants and then he says, take them off. And then he proceeds to like threaten her with the knife and throw her around. And it was just very disturbing.
She was so vulnerable in that scene. Yeah.
So I put it for that one.
I also had that one for the same reason. Yeah. Very upsetting.
I also had that one as one of mine. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
And I'll speak more to Jean-Claude Lord later, but yeah, it was just one of those. There was a few other scenes in this film where it was like uncomfortable to watch and upsetting, and that was definitely one of them.
And it went on for a while, right? Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, for instance, when the lady is suffocating, that goes on a long time. At one point, you're like, okay, I get it, but then she's like, and it just becomes even more disturbing the longer they keep it going, and that's the same for that scene as well. I find.
Yeah.
Just a side note, Mike, the fear of holes is trypophobia.
Trypophobia. All right. Google at your own risk.
I didn't hit images.
Yeah. We are now going to move into our stood the test of time. Sam, what stood up for you in this film?
I think they did a really good job at making us hate Colt. And just seeing, like, even though we saw his sad backstory, you didn't feel bad for him. Like, he just was gross. He was creepy. And I think they did a really good job of that.
Yeah.
I think he actually also acted that really well for the most part. He didn't say a lot, but he was kind of that creepy, gross. Yeah. He's gross. Yeah.
And do you have another one?
Yeah. I liked the one scene where Colt was in the hospital and you didn't know what room he was in. And they had the two nurses because they had the two buttons going off.
Yeah.
Where he kills the other nurse. That scene. I liked when they were going down the hallway in the suspense because you don't know which room he's in, and then you just see like the nurses walking there and you hear their shoes on the ground. I just thought it was really well done. I thought it was suspenseful, and I didn't think it went on too long, so I did like that.
I also liked his movement through the rooms and using the other doors of hiding that way.
Yes.
Well. Yeah. Chad, what were some of your tests of time?
Well, I agree with Sam. I thought Michael Ironside did a great job with that character, and when you see the flashbacks and like his twitching and his thing, I mean, there's a scene where he's in the laundry room and it looks like he's having a breakdown. Right. And he did really well with that. And then in the very next scene, he's thrown that all aside and he's a killer.
Yeah.
Right. So I like that. And then I also said the bottle scene and the blood, I thought was all well done.
Yeah, I had that as well. The bottle scene, and I thought the blood and the stabbing was pretty well done as well.
The stabbings were done,
And the blood looked good.
Yeah. One of the things I actually liked was, in a switchblade, usually people want to... They want to see that flick out, right? And there was the odd time he hit the button and it flicked out, but he always brought it out slowly.
Yeah.
And he always slow and meticulous. He didn't want people to be alarmed by the sound and stuff, which I liked because usually they're like, "Oh, a switchblade, let's just hit the button."
Yeah.
But it was good.
That was a long fucking blade too.
It was, yeah. To be carrying around in your back pocket or your back belt.
Yeah. My first test of time was, I wrote it as the sexually active nurses / the funny nurse. I really liked some of the humor in this film, but when the one nurse is like, I went with this guy, I don't know, he's a 2. That's your lowest rating yet. Yeah, he cries in bed.
Oh, yeah.
And the other nurse is like, well, it's better than laughing. And then later on, she says, he's an obstetrician. And the funny nurse again is like, well, hang on to him. You're probably going to need him.
Yeah.
I was just like, she's great. She stole the show for me. And then my other test of time was that closet. The rotating door.
Love the rotating closet
the lazy
door.
Susan, whatever. And then it has a full walk in if it's sideways. Oh, it's great. I was like, who wouldn't want that in their house?
Yeah. I thought it was really slick. Yeah.
I thought they could have done something more with that though.
They could have had him hiding in there.
I thought that would have been cool.
Point.
Or spin around with it and we see him or something like that.
Yeah. Sam, do you have some others?
I liked the point of view shots as well. I know that could also be a trope as well because there were quite a few of them. But when the killer's outside and he's looking and there's the kids' toys as the nurse goes home and cleans up.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done. It gets to be a bit too much as the movie kind of goes on because we see it over and over again. But originally, I thought that was really well done. I thought the creepiness of the picture taking as well.
Oh, as they're suffering?
I thought that was kind of a cool, I don't think I've really seen that before. The people in true crime or in other horror movies, they'll see people take pictures of their victims when they're dead, but taking them as they're dying, that was kind of creepy.
And when he's killing Sheila or with Sheila and he's kicking her foot because her face isn't doing what he wants her to.
Yeah, that's right.
So upsetting.
Yeah.
I had one more test of time, and it's when she's in the dumbwaiter and she's sort of she's trying to lower herself down.
Oh yeah.
And he catches her. And so he starts to pull her up, and then she grabs the ropes so that he can't. And he starts to cut the rope, and it just freaked me out because I was just like, she has nothing she can do now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really good. Sam, did you have any others?
I think just the idea that the serial killer, like, it's not this like supernatural person. It's just a man who hates women. And there's so many, you know, like there's a lot of incels and those types of things that we see. So I think that general idea, I think, sparks fear in women as well. Because it's very real, like having someone, whether or not you're a journalist or not, just the hatred towards women, I think is still very much alive.
Well, I think he does hate women, but I think he hates everybody, right? Because there's that one scene where he's with the diner girl and he's got all those little quotes and little things all up over as well. She's like, man, you hate everybody. You hit this guy, this. She says, do you just want to be alone in the world? And he says, yes, that would be lovely.
Yeah. Okay, we're now going to move into our eerie to ear splitting. Chad, what did you think of the sound on this one?
Well, overall, I thought the music to cue the scare moments and when she's being stalked and stuff like that was well done. But my ear splitting was the baby doll crying. First, when they step on it in the yard, and then when he uses it as a way to get Sheila to the house when he phones her. But it was the most annoying cry ever put in recording for a child's toy. That sucker would have...
That would have been the trash really quick in my house.
Why would you buy this for my kid?
My one friend, he's like, if I like the kids, I get them quiet toys. If the parents piss me off, I get their kids loud toys.
Yeah.
Here's a recorder.
I got your kid a drum set.
Have fun.
For me, the eerie to ear splitting, I found it interesting because I couldn't put my finger on what it was, but they had that musical sting when there's attacks or like a few jump scares or whatever, but it had almost like an animal screech to it or some sort of, it was like not quite a cat's roar or whatever, or a hiss, but there was something more than just like, there was a scream behind it. And I couldn't figure out what it was, but I also liked it because I couldn't identify the sound. It unsettled me more. Yeah. Sam, what was your thoughts on the eerie to ear splitting?
I had the same as you, actually, the same type of sound. I also couldn't pinpoint what exactly it was, but it was, you know, it's not that cheesy, like you were saying, in your face type thing. And I also kind of liked the theme song. And so I found out later in my research that it was actually potentially inspired by Halloween.
Yes.
So maybe that's kind of why I liked it, but it was like subtle. It wasn't like in your face. It was kind of, it was quieter, and I really enjoyed it. All
right. We're now going to go to our what the fuck moments, and I will give my first what the fuck. And I guess, so my first what the fuck, it wasn't the scene itself, but I didn't understand what the catalyst was. And you spoke to it. It's when he's in the laundry and he's having that breakdown. I didn't understand what triggered him into that. So he's upstairs and he realizes they know he's in the hospital because he sees Sheila talking to the security guard.
Right.
And I think the next time we see him is when he's down in the laundry having that breakdown and dealing with his past trauma.
Right.
But I just didn't understand how he got from there down. Like, he seemed to have those moments when he was like either with his father or like alone, not in the middle of his actions.
Right.
Yeah. So that was my first what the fuck. And my next what the fuck is, why are there dogs in the basement of a hospital?
I don't know. That really confused me as well. I think simply for a jump scare.
Okay.
Or maybe the canine unit needed a place to store their dog. I have no idea.
I had that in my hiding in the shadows because I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I know. Because she touches that wall and then the dogs start barking. I was, what? What's going on?
Is there another building nearby that's a pound?
Yeah.
Sam, what were some of your what the fucks?
The killer, so when we first see Colt, he pops out and he's wearing a ton of women's jewelry. And then, so that itself, it was really sudden. But I was like, oh, what the fuck? But it's not the dressing in women's jewelry. It's also not talked about. He never wears jewelry again. Nope. But it's when he starts taking it all out before he starts taking all of the jewelry off.
Because they're all just clamp on earrings. He just pops them off his nose.
Just pops them off,
And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what is it? That was bizarre.
It's like Xerxes from 300 or something.
Yeah.
And then the other one I kind of talked about before, but the kid, after the dad pours the alcohol on him, like he pours the beer all over him. But then he starts smothering him in sand, like covering, he starts rubbing sand on him.
And he says like, oh, we're going to make you dirty.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is happening? And so
I didn't entirely understand. Like, obviously, there's some abuse going on there, but I didn't understand. They do it in snippets and flashbacks, so I didn't understand the whole relationship there.
No.
Obviously, he's an abusive father. They don't have the best relationship, but it's like, but getting it with those little tiny dabs, I just think wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Okay. As disturbing as it was to see, we needed to know a little bit more about the dad.
Yeah.
And still, Colt goes and sees him, watches TV with him, like takes care of him. Mom left us and blames the mother for all the shit that's happened to them. But clearly the father is hurting.
All right. And Chad, what were your what the fuck moments?
The first one I had was he stabs the nurse and he takes her picture and he kicks, and then he doesn't finish the job. He leaves.
Right.
And maybe he's got some sense of morality because the kid was there, but I don't think he would care. So I was just confused as to why. I thought she was dead. I thought he was going to kill her.
Me too.
Right there. And so that was my what the fuck immediately. I wrote down, whoa, I thought she was going to make it. But then she does. And that turns into a new what the fuck, because why wouldn't he just end it? He's taken the pictures, which he does before he like finishes them off.
And he leaves no one alive who's seen his face, and she's seen it.
And she's seen it.
Yeah.
And then when he gets that butcher knife and comes around the corner and sees those two looking at him, I thought, oh shit, he's going to kill this kid. This is getting really bad. And then he just leaves. So I was
he presents the knife to them, like
puts it down on the stairs and then just takes off. So I was very confused by that. I wasn't sure. I didn't think it really followed the characterization that was built up throughout the film. So that was my what the fuck. And then my other one was she calls Deborah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like, let me talk to Deborah. She's like, what? Why?
All right. The back it up moment. I don't have a back it up moment. Do either of you have one?
No, I don't have one either.
No, yeah. No. This is the first movie in 40.
We haven't had one back it up moment.
Yeah. So 50 films.
I could throw one in.
Okay.
If you want a good laugh, I would back up the moment where he comes out of the ceiling. Because it was like she's running down what looks like a boiler room hallway, and all of a sudden, and we've mentioned this in other films, killers just waiting around for their victims to finally come across where they want them to go, right? How long was he up in the ceiling before he's like, here I am, and then he just jumps down.
I forgot that.
And then she still gets away. Like she still runs by him because he falls and hurts himself.
And that's what should have been one of my what the fucks is she takes alcohol, like obviously, like cleaning alcohol, throws it into his face, and it incapacitates him. He's slow from that point on. He's like
got to wash his eyes out.
But even after he washes his eyes, he's still not the man he was before.
No.
Anything pop into your head there, Sam, for the back it ups?
Back it ups.
No, nothing.
All right. Then let's move on. We're going to go to our hiding in the shadows. So one of my hiding in the shadows, or one of my questions was, what is with women being weirdly attracted to him?
Yes.
Yes, that's also in mine.
That's in mine as well. We were actually talking about it before we started the podcast. Yeah.
There's the landlady.
Yep.
Old and lonely. There's the diner woman who's like overly flirtatious. And then he's just staring daggers at Lisa to the point where she's like, I guess I'll follow this man outside.
Did you notice that the diner lady is in one of the pictures of the death mask?
Oh, no.
At the end? Yeah.
No,
So he
I
went
didn't
back
notice
and
that.
got her?
I think so. We just didn't see it because in the whole collage in the left corner or the left roundabout there she is.
Oh,
I didn't know that. I did not catch that.
Yay, Chad.
Yeah.
It would have been kind of cool to see that or to see a flash of it or something in there.
To know why.
That he's not just,
So now there's the question, like, was it just a person, or like, we need pictures of women, so let's take pictures of the cast and put them in there?
Yeah.
Or was it actually meant to be there? But I'm sure that is her. Because when she
I
goes
missed
to
that.
pick him up, says, we should go for a movie or something.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like her. So
Weird. I also didn't understand why the two guys that were there with Lisa, like maybe they're just friends
let her
with-
go.
Just let her go.
see you later with the man in the leather vest.
not even a vest. It was a shirt. There were no buttons.
I imagine him squeezing into that in the morning after a shower.
To take that off. Have you seen the Friends where he's like using the pants? It would be shirt there. He'd be like, it's formed a paste. I don't know how you could.
And then one of my other hiding in the shadows was just a question of, would Michael Ironside have a career if it wasn't for Jack Nicholson? Because his hair, his eyebrows, he was very Jack Nicholson-esque in his look in this one.
Yeah, he really.
Yeah,
he really was.
Sam, what were some of your hiding in the shadows?
Where is Francine, the housekeeper? Like, I thought that was going to play a bigger role. So Francine's the housekeeper that doesn't do a good job cleaning.
She's dead in the kitchen.
Oh.
We see her feet.
Oh, okay. Well, I missed that completely.
Yeah. Oh, I missed that too.
I thought she was going to play a bigger role in it, just like coming back or, I don't know.
But at the same time, where is Francine, the housekeeper? Because she it's like, that house is disgusting. You need to put the glasses away.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, like she calls
you
home.
should fire her.
Yeah, you should fire her, yeah.
But then that also is funny because maybe that's why the people were like, oh, she's probably drunk. Because like, did you see the amount of
booze
and bottles and stuff on the table? That was a lot. That's a big job for Francine.
I actually really didn't have anything for hiding in the shadows. We've covered most of my questions of this film, so I'm good.
Okay. I had two more. One was more just of a comical observance. It's when Sheila's at home, she goes to look for a weapon from the drawer and she opens the drawer, she moves the pot holder, and then she takes the barbecue fork out and looks at it and contemplates it. And she's like, no, puts it down and then grabs the massive butcher knife. It's like, why did you even grab the fork?
I think that fork could do some serious damage.
Maybe. Good fork.
And then the other one I didn't quite get is, and I don't know if they were trying to develop her character or why this was a through line, but multiple times through the movie, they've mentioned how she's an advocate for non-violence.
Yes. They really hit that home.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it threw me off because she's defending the woman who killed her husband, right? She's like, this woman killed her husband in self-defense. She's innocent. So she advocates non-violence, but then she's arguing on behalf of a woman who killed her husband in self-defense. And then at the end of the movie, she then kills in self-defense. So I was like, is this a character arc we're trying to develop? Or is it like a circular thing? Like the woman she's interviewing the lawyer about at the opening of the film is then paralleled in her own life later. Because they kept punching home on the non-violence, like there must be more to this. And I felt there never was.
I had some notes about that too. I can't find them right now, but I agree. I was a little confused as to why they kept hitting that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a question we were supposed to think about. And then, ultimately you knew that she was either going to have to kill him or be killed. So she was going to have to resort to violence to get out of the situation. So is that supposed to change her thoughts on the whole issue? Or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
And then did anyone else look at the letters that they showed that he had written? Because you couldn't see all of the letters that were on his walls.
No.
But I grabbed a couple. So
thank you.
He writes, Judge Gwen Calder, and it says, you talk about civil rights. What about my civil rights? That kid the two cops shot had a prison record. I don't care if he was 16. He's strong enough to pull a trigger, and even if he wasn't carrying a gun, he had one in the car, and we would have used it. Next time, he'll use it on an old woman, and it'll be too late to care. You probably let him off anyway. So I was like, yeah. And then the other one was to MTV. This is
Dear MTV.
well, this is crazy. It's to Deborah.
Oh.
But care of MTV. Miss Ballin. Or is it Ms.? Janet Markland deserves to die for what she did to her husband. A man provides, but he can never do enough, can he? If he is weak, then you throw him out with the trash. Right? So, yeah, he's clearly quite offended by that. But yeah, that was the first letter they show on his walls.
Huh.
Yeah. And with that little bit of tidbits from the film, we're now going to go into our bonus features. Chad, what did you find about the film?
One of the things I found was that Michael Ironside's limp was real. He had actually busted his ankle on the first day of shooting. So when they were filming that whole scene, he was limping around. And if you actually look at it and they pull right back and they show like a full shot of him walking, and his foot is totally turned to the side. Yeah. It looks very bad.
I had written that down as just like a cool thing. Like the way it's turned in was so neat.
Yeah.
I thought it was a character choice or an actor choice, but no.
He actually broke it.
Actually broke his ankle. Yeah.
Sam, what did you have?
I had that William Shatner really wanted to play the role of Colt.
Yeah.
And then he almost got the part, but was told before it could be offered, there was one more actor left to audition, and it was Ironside.
Yeah.
So he ended up getting it.
Could you imagine this film as William Shatner as the killer?
I don't know.
No.
Well, okay.
It's a totally different film.
I have to say, as insignificant as his character was, his acting wasn't terrible.
No.
Compared to Devil's Reign and Star Trek, like he didn't pause awkwardly in middle of sentences. He
No.
had some good delivery, but yeah, I couldn't see him as a woman hating psycho.
Killer, yeah.
No, I feel like he was also like cast just to have his name on it as well. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he didn't really play a key part.
And he got second billing.
Yeah.
I had that this was the first English language film of the director Jean-Claude Lord. So he mostly did Quebecois cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he did an amazing job with the tension and the suspense. It's hard for someone to direct outside of their language, I find. And so I can forgive him with that. But I would watch another horror movie that he did.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
Chad, did you have anything else?
To speak again about Michael Ironside and how he got the role, he got it because he did such a good sinister performance in Scanners.
Mm-hmm.
And so the producers were the same and they wanted him to come in and audition for it. So he did, yeah. And then he got it, yeah.
Sam, what else did you find?
It's also been titled Get Well Soon and The Fright.
Get well soon.
Which I kind of liked it a little bit too, right?
The French title is The Terror of Central Hospital.
Ooh.
Yeah. I found the box office and budget information. So the budget was 6 million and box office 13.3. So doubled its money for a Canadian film. So smashing success. Chad, what else did you have?
Well, just a comparison to Halloween. The film was often compared to the second Halloween, which took place in a hospital.
Yeah.
And also featured a maniac killer on the loose in the hospital setting. Now, in that one, the hospital was pretty much abandoned. Like, there was a couple of people working the night shift and stuff like that. But in this one, there was a question I had, and I didn't get to this in our talk, but why was it so empty in some areas and then so full in others? Like, it just seemed he could do whatever he wanted and wandered around wherever.
Yeah.
And the hallways were completely clear. And then in other areas of the hospital, it was just packed and crazy and you couldn't move anywhere. And I don't know if you've ever been or stayed overnight in a hospital, but it's usually pretty busy.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of
loud.
people around. It's loud. There's constant action happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's beeps and stuff. Like these guys are all in their own little apartment style rooms and it's just shut down. Okay, it's nighttime, everybody.
Yeah.
But it just seemed a little too quiet for me. But yeah.
I thought it was pretty funny that he mentioned like at moments it was super crowded because at night it's always empty with like one nurse, maybe one security guard.
Yes.
Everyone's doors are closed, which you never see at a hospital, but
No.
whatever. But then there's the one morning where they're trying to get to the elevator and there's like 15 to 20 patients and staff all in one intersection of the nursing station. The only other thing I had was sort of a who did what or where you might know the name from. So Jean-Claude Lord, a lot of French cinema, but for people that like cheesy B movies from the 80s, 90s, Eddie and the Cruisers 2, Eddie Lives. He directed that one.
Yeah.
Brian Taggart, the writer of this one, did Poltergeist 3, V, the TV series, and the movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Oh, I remember V.
Yeah. And then Michael Ironside,
man.
everyone knows, but Total Recall, Starship Troopers, Barry, the list could go on and on and on. Yeah. All right. And with that, it is time to place visiting hours on our watchability scale. Sam, where would you rate this film?
Kind of going between a couple numbers. There were some parts of this film that I really liked and others that could have done better. I do feel it was a little bit long. The pacing was a little bit slow. There's a lot of questions that we had, but overall, I think it's worth it to watch it. It wouldn't be the top of my recommendation, but I do think it's worth checking out. I think 14% on Rotten Tomatoes was way too low. I was kind of going between whether I'd give it like a 4 or 5, but I'm going to give it a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so right smack in the middle.
I was close to you with the bouncing around. I think it is worth checking out, but I'm going to give it a 4 because for me, 5 is my like should. 4 would be the if you want to, but you like it is enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely better than a 14%, but I'll stick at the 4. Chad?
Yeah. I'm waffling between those two as well, 4 or 5. I'm going to give it a 5. I enjoyed parts of it enough that I think you should check it out.
I mean, like it
I
would
don't know,
be
I'm conflicted.
I know,
It's just one of those like You see a movie, oh, that was dog shit. It's a 1 or it's a 2. This one, it's not horrible. Like we said, 14% is way too low. Like they really missed the mark on it. I would have given it like a 40 or a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. But so I'm going to stick with a 5. I'll call her a 5.
You know what? Thinking about the number of scary moments or tense moments where it's like I was uncomfortable for what was happening on screen. Yeah, I'd bring it up to the 5 with you too.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for listening to us. Remember to follow us on Instagram. We are at ScreamStreamPod. Stop by our website, screamsandstreams.com, where we have information about our episodes, descriptions of our categories, links to our research, our watchability scale, and a page where you can recommend movies you want us to discuss. And please rate, comment on, and subscribe to our show on any of the platforms where you get your podcasts. Until next time, this has been Mike and
Sam
and
Chad.
Scare you later.